Los Angeles foreclosures are up 340%. Is this bad? We're going to let you know in the Southern California Foreclosure Report. We are going to put the numbers into perspective, give you the context so you can understand exactly where we are in the foreclosure market for Southern California. Hey there. Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We have been helping buyers and sellers with actual and factual information and no clickbait so that they can make the best decisions during these crazy days. First, quick clickbait lesson. Say that 3 times fast. Yeah, we do have a 340% increase when you look at year-over-year data. Last year, 173 notices of default. In Los Angeles, 590. But is that a big deal? 340% sounds terrible, but we have to put it in perspective. That's what we're going to do when we run through the data. So don't fall for these clickbait titles and all this clickbait news about the market crashing with foreclosures. And you got to look at the real numbers, and that's what we're going to run through right now. So if you're ready to dive into the real foreclosure numbers, hit that like button and let's get started. Let's get going into the foreclosure data. This is why you're here. You're here for the foreclosure report. We're going to start out with the month-over-month data. We're starting with the notices of default, which is the first step in the foreclosure process. So somebody misses a payment, and 120 days later, at the soonest, a notice of default is filed. Why is this important to track? Because this is the first step in foreclosure. So now we know that somebody is in the process when the notice of default is filed. So we're looking here at the 6 Southern California counties and we're comparing. You can see year over year that we are up significantly, but that's because we were at record lows before, in part due to the foreclosure moratorium. Now we're starting to see foreclosures go up. But what are you not seeing in these numbers? Raise your hands, or don't raise your hands, just yell it out. You're not seeing a dramatic spike in the numbers of properties going into notice of default. Now it has gone up. You can see pretty much for LA, it's been steadily ticking up, although we had a drop from December into January. Some of the counties went up a little bit from December. So for example, Riverside, we see this increase, pretty flat for San Bernardino. San Diego down a little bit, OC's up by 1 extra, and Ventura is up a little bit. We're not seeing the big swoosh upwards, a dramatic spike upwards that would mean that there should be a wave of foreclosures coming. This is the first step. They have to go through this first step in order to come out the end as a bunch of foreclosed homes. Notice of trustee sale. So now 90 days after the notice of default, the notice of trustee sale can be filed, and it'll have the sale date on there, which can be as soon as 21 days later. Again, this is as quick as it can go, but it's not going to go this quick. National average is over 800 days for foreclosure. So you can see here the notices of trustee sale have increased as well. These were low-hanging fruit, a little easier to get into the notice of trustee sale phase because they had missed payments pre-COVID or were vacant properties. So these have moved through quicker in some cases. But what again do you not see? You don't see the massive, huge spike. You don't see an exponential spike like you saw in the global financial crisis. We are not seeing a wave of foreclosures yet, but it is getting to the point where there's actually numbers to track again. During COVID, there was no reason to really be tracking foreclosures because there just weren't that many. Context, have to put it in context and give you perspective on where we are. So yes, we can see Los Angeles in particular, the numbers look to be up dramatically as compared to more normal years, not that far off of 2020. And remember, this is January 2020, so this is before COVID when we see that 503 in Los Angeles, and we're up at 590. Now, why are we up? Well, we're up because we're catching up for these years. As you can see, any given year, a normal year, there will be foreclosures starting. There will be people missing payments. So that's part of what we're catching up on right now. And there are some people that are going into foreclosure because maybe their businesses have dried up. Los Angeles, another thing we see is landlords who haven't received rent for a long time. We're talking at this point in time, 3 years, because LA is still under eviction moratorium. Some of those folks are are losing their properties. Getting LA out of the way, again, we can see the numbers are up for this second phase of foreclosure, not up dramatically. We are catching up for years where we were down dramatically. And for a little perspective, bringing in 2011 data, notices of default were down at that point in time as compared to years past. I know those numbers are massive and about twice where we are, but they were down at that point in time. The people had moved into the following phase. You'll see it in the notice of trustee sale. We can see properties now on foreclosure.com going through the process, but we're not at those record levels like we saw. Notice of trustee sale, that second phase, when you look at it compared to years past, previous Januaries, it actually seems like an uneventful January that we're in right now. At 2018 and before, it was higher. There were more notices of trustee sale, but we may not hit normal market levels of notices of trustee sale for another maybe 6 months to a year. We'll see. Put in the comments below when you think we're going to hit a normal level of notices of trustee sale. I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. And yeah, now we bring in 2011 notices of trustee sale, massive numbers of properties that far into the foreclosure process. And who knows, one of the major differences between the properties that have a notice of trustee sale filed today versus those back then? You know the answer. I've talked about it before. There is equity in the properties that are being foreclosed on now. For the most part, a lot of these folks have equity in their properties. When you look back at 2011, these were people who were all upside down. Nobody had equity then. It was catching a falling knife with values. They were continuing to drop. So that is one of the major differences we see in properties that are in foreclosure in this market. There's many that still actually have equity and could sell and walk away with money without having to go through foreclosure. And again, here's why it makes sense to start having a foreclosure.com account and tracking foreclosures. We're actually seeing some of them come out. So now we can see real estate owned are starting to stick. There was really almost no reason. LA had 5 in January 2021. Not much to track, but now we're starting to see some inventory stick. 29. Now 29 will not make a dent in the market as far as values go, but this is something that you can track as an investor. And there's 2 reasons to track it. One is they're going to kick out as REOs, but 2, like I just said in the last slide, some of these people have equity, so they can sell their properties and walk away with more cash rather than being foreclosed on. So you can be tracking those and reaching out and helping them walk away with equity. Yeah, again, perspective. When you see 1,700, almost 1,700 homes in January going back to the bank in 2011 versus what we see for 2023, this is the major difference in the market. And that's just 2011. I don't have anything before that, and we don't have 2012 through 2014 when still more properties were kicking out. But that's dramatically different. We'd be crushed if we had that many homes coming to the market. Homes would be selling for dollars. We have low inventory in the market, so the inventory that's coming will be absorbed very quickly and very easily, even in this lower demand, fewer transaction market that we're in right now. Yes, you can tell I'm a fan of foreclosure.com, and there's several reasons why, including one is I was just interviewed by them. There's a video coming out on that, and I was honored by that. But more importantly, it's the data that this presents. You can search every state, and there's more bankruptcies, there's tax liens, a whole bunch of other data that's rolled into here, and again, across the nation. And it isn't so much just foreclosed homes, bank-owned homes that really you can track in here. It's everything on its way to becoming a foreclosed home. Those are going to be the plums. Help people figure out how to get out of their home in a way that's mutually beneficial. You as an investor get a deal, and they're able to walk away with their equity. In fact, we will be releasing content on this strategy as well. So let's say you're not ready to commit commit to that monthly fee that I think is completely worth it, but you have to determine if it's completely worth it. No pressure. You can enter your email address here. It goes to them and they'll send you free email alerts and you can decide whether it's even worth signing up for. So I recommend at the very least you do that. I have a link below. Please use my link to get to foreclosure.com and you will be able to take advantage of the free VIP email alerts. And then of course, I'm going to be doing content where I show you how to use foreclosure.com to find deals so that you can set up a mutually beneficial way for folks to walk away with equity and you walk away with a good deal. As you can see in the numbers, it all starts in the notices of default and we're not yet seeing a big increase in those. So we are not going to see in 2023 a wave of foreclosures until we see a dramatic increase in notices of default. And as shown, notices of trustee sale actually have some room to go before they even hit normal levels. So let us know in the comments below where you think foreclosures are headed. I also want to know if you are tracking foreclosures in Southern California yet. Don't forget to get all the data from this video plus a whole lot of other relevant updates. You need to be subscribed to our free weekly email newsletter or you're missing out. And of course, check out this next video where we dive into more market updates that you need to see. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.